Indianapolis Colts fans, New England Patriots fans. It is time to cross the streams here on Crossover Thursday across the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mike Debate of the Locked On Patriots podcast, and joining me today for this Week 9 Pats Colts crossover is Jake Arthur, host of Locked On Colts, and also my colleague over at Fan Nation of Sports Illustrated. Jake, thank you so much for joining me today. We're definitely looking forward to this matchup between two teams that are definitely no strangers to one another.
Absolutely, but these matchups nowadays are wildly different than what they were 10 or so years ago, aren't they?
Absolutely. They really, really are. It's taken a lot of different combinations, different permutations, but you know what? It's usually the same result. A good game no matter what, and two teams that absolutely love to face off against each other. Folks, we are going to get into all the nuts and bolts of this crossover, all the nuts and bolts of this game coming up with the Patriots and the Colts. But first, please remember that Crossover Thursday is presented by our friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is so much fun, and it's so easy to play. There's no competing with other players. You're not competing with myself or with Jake. It's just you against the projections available. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. It can literally take less than 60 seconds to enter. That's right, folks. It is that easy. We love PrizePicks. We know that you will too. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. And Jake, these two teams right now have enjoyed a lot of success in the not-so-distant past. Conference championships, division championships, Super Bowl championships, you name it, the Colts and the Pats have pretty much been in the mix. This year, a little bit different. New England running into this matchup, 4-4, big win over the Jets last week, but they've looked shaky at times. The Colts, 3-4-1. They're finding their identity with a new quarterback. As you look at this matchup, help my listeners at Locked On Patriots absorb some of your wisdom and counsel as to what the big stories are right now out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, you actually kind of hit my key buzzword there. We do these Locked On Now previews each week for our upcoming game. And what I said for mine was right now it's just about finding an identity for the Colts, especially on offense. You know, this season has been tumultuous. In the last week, we've seen them switch from Matt Ryan to Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. And then just on Tuesday, they fired their offense coordinator in the morning, Marcus Brady. And then they ended the day by trading Nyheim Hines, who's one of their most dangerous weapons. So they already had an identity crisis, and now they got rid of, some big factors. So right now it's time to figure out who you are for the rest of the season. Ehlinger is your guy for the rest of the year. That's who you're going with. Unfortunately, they may not have Jonathan Taylor this week. If I was a betting man, I would say no, considering it's a re-aggravation of that ankle injury, and he was out of practice on Wednesday. Of course, you don't have Nyheim Hines to back him up now. So the running game is going to be, if Taylor's out, it's going to be second-year undrafted free agent Deion Jackson with a cast of practice squad guys potentially. So assuming Bill Belichick can take away what the Colts like to do best, which is the run game, and it kind of seems like an easy task. It seems like Michael Pittman Jr. taking him away, giving him bracket coverage is probably the way to go. So you take those things away, what do you have? The tight ends, you haven't consistently got them involved yet this year, even though that's been a big strength for a few years. Does Sam Ehlinger try and form some chemistry with Alec Pierce now? Like, is that the way to go? Because it seems like that would be the smart money. So the Colts are at a crossroads here at the midway point. It's time to figure out who they are.
Yeah, without any question. And definitely, I think Patriots fans can relate to that in a lot of ways when it comes to Crossroads, because they went through their own version of switch me and switch me not when it came to the quarterback situation. Mac Jones obviously going down at the end of week 3. Didn't look like he was coming back for quite a while. Missed 3 weeks. And then Bailey Zappi comes in as the rookie. And all of a sudden, you start to see this team get a little reinvigorated on offense. They're completing passes. They're taking shots downfield. They're reading the defenses a little bit better. And the offense became a little bit more simplified, and it was definitely a lot more aesthetically pleasing for the fan base. They're watching this team going, why didn't they do this in the first 3 games of the season? bam, I know what it is. Common denominator is that Mac Jones is no longer under center. It's Bailey Zappi. This team operates better with Zappi than with Jones. But when you look at the nuts and bolts of what this team does, the New England Patriots continuously run an offense that is very much based on the offense they've run throughout Bill Belichick's tenure, no matter who was running it. Now, when Tom Brady was running it, things ran a lot more smoothly. A lot of that has to do with the guy that was
Yeah.
throwing the passes, but it's
Mhm.
very much based on timing. It's crisp, accurate throws, hitting the receiver where only he can catch the ball, and using the short to intermediate passing game to facilitate play action and also be able to stimulate the running game. And those two work hand in hand. That's what New England started to do when Zappi came in. Prior to that, the new regime that came in under Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, were starting to incorporate outside zone into their running game and into their offense. And when you do that, it's going to throw a traditional pocket quarterback like Mac Jones a little bit off that's so used to utilizing play action, did that so well at Alabama. So that was really their identity in the first 3 games of the season. And then New England switched it up a little bit and went back to basics, and it seemed to work a little bit better. Last week, I think the Patriots tried to blend a little bit of both. You saw a better, more comfortable Mac Jones, but there's still a ways to go when it comes to trying to utilize play action to the best he can and also be able to incorporate zone runs. So this is going to be something that the Patriots are going to have to work on. And hopefully for Patriots fans, not so hopefully for Colts fans, they're
Yeah.
going to hope to see a little bit more of a smoother transition for Mac as the weeks go on. We started to see the progressions in the second half a little bit last week against the Jets. If that continues, New England will definitely be, I don't want to say have a leg up on the competition because that's certainly not easy to do with that Colts defense, especially the fact that they're so well equipped at being able to stop the run. That's something that the Patriots will need to address because the running game is such a big part of what they've done this year as well. So when it comes to when it comes to identity, Jake, I think we're both in the same boat when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Before we take our leave of big stories, obviously you mentioned Hines and the trade. What's the buzz
Mhm.
around Indianapolis right now and his being jettisoned off? And what are Colts fans feeling right now? What's the finger on the pulse when it comes to Hines leaving town and really, Erlinger coming in for Matt Ryan and what this means for them moving forward?
Yeah, so it's kind of split between the fan base. You've got your absolute diehards who think the team can do no wrong. They're, hang in there, buddy. You guys can do it. But the rest of us are kind of, we're just along for the ride the rest of the season.
Mm,
Uh, I think the Colts are heading in a more entertaining direction, honestly. With how bad their offensive line had been performing and having a guy like Matt Ryan as your quarterback, he's not a statue. He can
mhm,
manipulate the pocket very well and moves around the pocket well, but the offensive line was really bad. And you
mm,
just can't have that back there. And I think that was part of the reason a guy like Ehlinger was inserted into the lineup because he can move around. Because, Nick Foles as well, kind of the same mobility as Matt Ryan. Not a
mhm,
statue. He's got a little feet, but he's not going to beat a linebacker around the edge. So I think Ehlinger breathes a little life into it and makes the offense a little more watchable.
mhm,
Because again, he can move, and I think he's going to be more aggressive downfield. He already has kind of proven to be that a little bit last week. Took some shots downfield with Alec Pierce, like I mentioned, Paris Campbell, and that just didn't really exist much in the offense with Matt Ryan. Not that he never took shots, but probably not enough considering the personnel that they had. I'm just really interested to see how the Colts attack this because I
mhm,
was looking at some of the Patriots matchups this year and the ones they've lost. And don't get me wrong, Sam Ehlinger is not Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. He's not an athlete like that. Like he's a decent runner, but he's not those guys.
right,
But in his roots at Texas, he ran the ball a lot, and it seems like opponents know that they can maybe beat the Patriots that way with a really run heavy attack. The
mhm,
Ravens and Bears both appeared to do that. The Colts beat the Patriots last year, 27-17, put over 200 rushing yards on them. Now the
mhm,
Colts run game has struggled this year. Like I can't even confidently tell you when they'll put 100 rushing yards on the team because they just haven't been able to do it. The offensive line
Right.
isn't really doing its job there. But now that they have a quarterback who can pound the ball like that, I'm very curious to see if they take that approach, because that's what other teams have done, and it's something Ehlinger himself has done in the past. And with Marcus Brady, the offensive coordinator, gone, now Frank Reich has always been the play caller, and Marcus Brady had more of an influence in preparation throughout the week and advanced scouting, things like that, schematic things. But now it's all Frank Reich. He's not appointing an interim offensive coordinator. He's just taking it all on his own shoulders. So we'll probably see some differences. I'm curious if that's one of them. Do you give Ehlinger the offense he had at Texas a little bit against the Patriots? Because it seems like that might be the best way to beat him.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill Belichick actually mentioned that in his midweek press conference on Wednesday afternoon. And he mentioned Ehlinger and his ability to run with the football, and even mentioned his own team's deficiency at being able to stop mobile quarterbacks. He understands the
Exactly.
chatter that's out there. And you very, very seldom hear Bill Belichick be very vocal about his team's shortcomings. It's usually very blanketed when his questions are put to him. We have to do better in all three phases. We have to play better. We all have to do our job. That was something that specifically was called out. So it's interesting to see that. And that, I think, could be a very key matchup here for the Colts. If they want to come in and be able to take it to the New England Patriots, they can definitely do that, because the running game is something that has caused problems defending it for the New England Patriots. And that's also something that I know all the fans are going to be watching, whether you're a fan of the Patriots or the Colts. Sorry, Colts.
Yeah.
Pats fans and Colts fans, we will continue to break down all of the key matchups here on Locked On Patriots / Locked On Colts crossover Thursday, when Jake and I discuss exactly what are going to be those matchups that we're going to have our sharp eye on in just a moment. But first, folks, Jake, it's always fun being able to do these crossovers. We enjoy them each and every week. I always enjoy getting a chance to talk ball with my colleagues here at Locked On. I don't know if I'd call them milestone moments, but they are great moments in our professional careers. But folks, when you want to commemorate your milestone moments, whether you're looking to pop the question, or you have a milestone to celebrate, or you just want your love to sparkle, Blue Nile can help you make your celebrations even more memorable. As the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. If you're having trouble choosing, Blue Nile also has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Shop stress-free with Blue Nile's 100% satisfaction guarantee, because all Blue Nile orders are insured and shipped for free in discreet packaging. And they also offer overnight shipping if you're in a rush. So make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use promo code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. That's Blue Nile, BLUENILE.com, with the promo code Locked On to save $50 off of your purchase of $500 or more. BlueNile.com, code Locked On. Pats fans and Colts fans, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us here on Crossover Thursday. I'm Mike DeBate, host of Locked On Patriots, joined by Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts, ready to bring you our game preview of the Patriots Colts Week 9 matchup, Sunday, 1 p.m., Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts. And it's been the site of a lot of memorable contests between these two. Jake, I think we'd be lying if we said that we can expect a Brady Manning-like showdown between Sam Ehlinger and Mac Jones on Sunday, but there are still a lot of key matchups that fans should be very interested and very much enjoyed when they come to looking at what this matchup and what this game is going to bring down. From a Colts perspective, which are the key matchups that you're looking forward to watching in Week 9 this Sunday?
Yeah, so the Colts defensive line, at least the exterior, has been kind of hard to count on from a pass rush perspective, and honestly, a run stop perspective as well. Yannick Ngakoue has never been known to be the best run defender in the world, and he's not quite lived up to where they need him to be as a pass rusher yet either. So I think the Colts are gonna have to rely pretty heavily on their interior guys to get a push. DeForest, Buckner, and Grover Stewart. Grover Stewart has played out of his mind. If nose tackles really ever got recognition for All Pro and Pro Bowl and things like that, Stewart's an easy submission for this year. DeForest Buckner, he's probably your lead pass rusher right now. By year's end, he'll probably end up with like 8 or so sacks, and that'll lead the team. But the bigger issue outside of Ngakoue is Kwity Paye has missed the last few games. He's the other starting end. He's missed the last few games. He did finally return to practice on Wednesday, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll throw him out there already on Sunday. Now, the guy who had been replacing him, Tyquan Lewis, been starting in his place. He just suffered a season-ending knee injury last Sunday. So if Paye can't go, it's really going to be Ngakoue and then some guys who are depth pieces at best, really. So the Colts really need their interior defenders to step up big time. And if Buckner and Stewart can get the push on the pocket right up the middle, that obviously will be disruptive and frustrating for a young quarterback like Mac Jones, I'm sure. Now, if I remember correctly, Jones did have some nice plays rolling out against the Colts last year. But in general, it's a good rule of thumb to try and disrupt them right in their face. So they get that push. Maybe it means linebackers, Shaquille Leonard, Zaire Franklin, Bobby Okereke can make some things happen in the backfield as well in the run game. But I think there's going to be a big premium put on the Colts' interior line in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will. And I think that's where the Colts are going to try to focus a lot of their energy, because if you do disrupt Mac Jones before he gets into his rhythm, that's where he's had difficulty. And look, this is a matchup I'm watching very closely as well, because the Patriots offensive line has mightily struggled to provide protection. Mac was really running for his life last week against a very difficult Jets front. And when you put the pressure on him, especially threatening those strategic blitzes from the second and third level of the defense, Mac has he always had difficulty within his career picking those up, more so lately because the protection has been poor. And a lot of that has dealt with some of the problems they've had at right tackle. Isaiah Wynn has been very inconsistent for the New England Patriots this year. Marcus Cannon has come in, spelled him pretty well in some cases, but Marcus had a very rough game against the Jets last week as well. So much to the point where, because of Cole Strange having difficulty at left guard, you saw Isaiah Wynn slot in at left guard. He's taking some snaps in practice at left guard this week, folks. So you got to wonder whether or not the Patriots may shuffle this line a little bit. Do they move Isaiah Wynn into the right guard position, possibly move Michael Wainu out to the right tackle? Michael Wainu, obviously the big, massive right tackle for the Patriots last couple of years, made the move inside to guard, one of the highest rated guards in the league right now, according to Pro Football Focus. But the Patriots have never shied away from doing what's best for the football team. So if New England is to have any success either running the football or passing the football, it's really going to depend on what that offensive line can do. And I'm also looking forward to seeing Mac Jones maybe test that pair of Patriots you guys have in the secondary when it comes to Kenny Moore, and of course, Stefan Gilmore. These are two guys that know the Patriots offense very well. They know Bill Belichick's tendencies. They know what this offense will do. And in that regard, it could be an interesting matchup. If Mac is going to try to test the secondary, he also knows what Gilmore can do, obviously never having played with Moore, but at the same time, if you ever need a consigliere in these situations, Jake was a better one than Bill Belichick. He's going to definitely fill his head with a lot of what these guys are very good at doing, and maybe areas where they could be had. So keeping a sharp eye on those as well. From an offensive standpoint, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. You mentioned Gilmore. Very interesting. He and Sam Ehlinger actually had a sit down this week for Gilmore to just fill Ehlinger's head with Bill Belichick information. So to that point that you made, they are trying to help Ehlinger and anyone else in the building who they can get over this hump against Belichick.
Absolutely. And Stefan Gilmore knows Bill Belichick as well as anyone, one of the most gifted readers and one of the most intelligent secondary players I've ever had the chance to cover and that I really have ever seen. He's still very well revered in this area, and there's a reason for it. It's because Stefan played that position so well and was such an amazing shutdown corner up here for a number of years that we know that still exists within him. And personally, I just happen to like the guy personally as well.
Oh
Having a
yeah.
chance to get to know him a couple of years covering him up here in New England, just a really good, cover and a really good, player. And I also want to give a little love to Quiddy Pay. There's a real part of me that's hoping to see him this week. Not sure. I know my
Uh-huh.
listeners on Locked On Patriots know this, but just a little tidbit with Locked On Colts. Quiddy went to the same high school that I did, Bishop Hendricken High School in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Oh,
He is
okay.
the toast of the town up there, and just such a phenomenal human being, so well revered by all the faculty and staff at Hendricken, and he really makes all of us Hawk alumni very proud. So for anyone that listens to Locked On Colts and you're a big Quiddy Pay fan, the tip of the cap, because he is well revered up here, and we definitely hope to see him do great things for Indianapolis for a number of years and really see him grow into the draft status that was put on to him. From an
I'll
offense.
trade you another high school nugget real quick. So I
Mhm.
went to high school with Chris Jones, the defensive tackle
Oh
who won
wow.
Super Bowl there with the Patriots. Yeah, he was a
Hmm.
grade below me over here at Brownsburg High School, just down the street.
Wow.
Yep.
That's excellent. See, you know what? Rubbing elbows with the Patriots and the Colts into enemy territory, Jake. It's
Yep. Small
unbelievable.
world.
The
Small world.
the things that you can find out on Crossover Thursday, folks, really is
Hmm.
tremendous. It truly
Yeah.
is. Before we take our leave of key matchups. You mentioned one that really I do have my eye on very closely. Michael Pittman Jr., I think, is going to be someone that the Patriots are going to try to take away for a lot of the reasons you described in the previous segment. I think they're going to understand that taking away the run, loading up to be able to try to stop what Indy does best is something that they'll do. But I also think Ehlinger and that offensive brain trust in Indianapolis knows that maybe if they can take some shots and catch the Patriots secondary on its heels, maybe they can grab a big play or two. A big key for that is going to be Kyle Duggar, who right now we're still awaiting word as to whether or not Kyle might be active in this game. He's been banged up a little bit with a knee injury. He's by far, I think, the straw that stirs the drink in that secondary. And I know they've had some good play out of the cornerbacks. Adrian Phillips stepped up big time last week in Kyle's absence. Devin McCourty showed that he still has a lot left in the tank. And even Jabril Peppers came up pretty big. But Kyle is one of those guys that just makes everything flow, whether it's defending physical receivers, receivers out of the backfield, or tight ends. He really has the capabilities. And if my memory serves me correctly, last year, these two had a little dust up in week 15 of the
Hmm.
2021 season. So got to be wondering if there's still any lingering. I know guys say they put everything aside from game to game, year to year, but sometimes these
Hmm.
things fester. Who knows if tempers start to flare? So that's one more that I'll be watching. Any other little tidbits or any other little nuggets that you have your eye on this week?
I had that exact matchup on my thing here. Michael Pittman versus Kyle Duggar. So Michael Pittman, ever since the start of his second year, this is year 3 now. He's had a chip on his shoulder, and he has really become. He's had a junkyard dog mentality, and he kind of takes things personally. If any Colts ever going to get in a fight during training camp or anything, it's going to be Pittman first. You saw him and Duggar got in that thing last year. So I expect Pittman to have a lot of emotion coming into this. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's going to want to play out of his mind. And if he's not, and Belichick's locking him down, I expect that to maybe frustrate him. But he had a big drop late last week that it
Mm-hmm.
didn't cost the Colts the game, but if he makes that catch, they probably get into field goal territory, and which would have allowed them to win that game against the Commanders instead of lose. Um, and he's going to have this matchup with Duggar, if he's healthy, circled, because I can almost guarantee he remembers last year. So
Uh,
I don't know how it's going to go, but I know Pittman's going to want to play just nuts in this matchup.
Absolutely. And I assure you, Kyle's
Mm-hmm.
memory is pretty good as well. He's going to have
Yeah.
this one circled. So that could be another interesting matchup, folks. And we are almost at the time, Pats fans and Colts fans, where Jake and I are ready to give our predictions for what will happen on the field when these two teams match up in week 9 of the 2022 NFL season. Which way is this going to go at Gillette Stadium? We'll tell you in just a moment when this episode of the Locked On Patriots and Locked On Colts crossover Thursday episode continues. But first, please remember, folks, that today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at betonline.net, your number one source for all of your football betting information this season. You can find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in depth articles and analysis on every game that you can find. And as always, please remember that BetOnline is always your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up to the minute scores for every sport out there. They're the fastest and the easiest way to keep up with everything you can from all your favorite games and events, also including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. So head over to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Locked On listeners, it has been a privilege sharing the microphone with my good friend and colleague, Jake Arthur, the host of the Locked On Colts podcast. We've talked about the key matchups, Jake. We've talked about the big stories coming out of both of these. We've given, I think, Locked On Colts and Locked On Patriots fans a lot to consider and a lot to look at this week. But there's one thing we haven't done yet, and that is give our predictions, looked into our crystal balls, so to speak, and determine what the action on the field is going to look like. You being the visiting team, I definitely want to extend the hospitality, some of that Foxborough hospitality to you, my friend. How do you find all of this shaking out on Sunday, and what are your thoughts for this game?
Yeah, thank you. So I am not yet confident in the Colts' ability that, like, they just haven't earned my trust yet to give them a W. And this is the second week in a row now that I'm not even going to project them at 20 points. I'm going to give the Patriots a 23-13 win in this one. On both sides of the ball, I think the Colts are just going to have some issues that are going to be tough to overcome. On offense, obviously, no Nyheim Hines. They have the shakeup with their offensive coordinator they just fired. Jonathan Taylor may not play. We don't know yet. Sam Ehlinger, who is just going to be making his second career start, first one on the road, is going against Bill Belichick, who historically has just toasted young quarterbacks. And so unless the Colts go with a run-heavy approach like I think could perhaps work, I just don't see them being very productive. They're going to give up sacks. That seems like something the Patriots have excelled at. Matt Judon is up there in the leaders. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the Colts could struggle to get after Mac Jones, which is, I know they've had their own protection issues, but the Colts haven't really earned that trust as pass rushers yet either. And if you're relying on your interior guys, that's a great approach. I think overall, both offenses could struggle. There could be a defensive touchdown or something maybe, but I don't see this being a super exciting barn burner of a game. I'll give it to the Patriots 23-13 again.
Yeah, we're actually very like-minded here. I see this one going a very similar situation and a very similar way as you do for a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned. But obviously, I'm going to be a little more critical of the Patriots because I'm looking at it from their perspective.
Yeah.
I think the woes that they're having on the offensive line right now are going to prevent them from being able to score a ton of points in this game. Even though, I know the Patriots are going to be willing to come out, or they're going to be eager, I should say, to come out and run the football. It's going to be difficult to do that against this Colts, front seven. You mentioned DeForest Buckner, you mentioned Grover Stewart and the season that he's having, but the linebackers that can actually come in and be able to help spell the run defense a little bit, Shaquille Leonard, Bobby Okereke, Zaire Franklin, these guys know how to defend the New England Patriots. They did it very effectively last year, and the Pats only ran for 81 yards against the Colts last year, and that's something they wanted to do, was establish the run. Guaranteed they didn't have Damian Harris. They will have him this time, and Ramondre Stevenson. But without the holes to run through, it's going to be very difficult for this run game to get on track. And with David Andrews still right now missing practice, and the struggles that Cole Strange has had, the struggles that Isaiah Wynn has had, that's something that's concerning me about the Patriots. So while I do think that this defense is going to be capable of giving Ehlinger some difficulty, finding his rhythm, finding his comfort, and I think they're going to be able to control the Colts running game, I give them the slight edge here, but I don't like the Patriots to score a ton of points. I actually have this one coming down to a 20-14 final for New England,
Mm,
because I think you're going to get a few Nick Folk field goals once again, maybe two
yeah.
or three this time around. I don't know if he's going to go 5 for 5 again, but he'll definitely connect from a couple. And I think the Patriots do enough to find the end zone maybe on a possession or two. So ultimately, folks, that is exactly how it is going to shake out. Put it down. Mark it. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? We have given you our best educated guess
Yeah.
as to what's going to happen. But the only thing that I can say is don't listen to Jake and I too closely. Watch the
All right.
game. That's why these games are played on the field, not on paper, and definitely not over a pod. But we are confident that we've given you enough information to make your game watching a little bit more enjoyable and maybe a little bit more informative. Jake, what can I say? I thank you for coming on and joining me here today on Locked On Crossover Thursday. Before we
Mhm.
take our leave from this episode, my friend, any more parting thoughts or any more parting words of wisdom for our fans at Locked On Colts and Locked On Patriots?
No, well, this next part is very, very important. Did I see that the Patriots are going the red throwbacks this week? Is this the week? I saw
I
Pat
believe.
Patriot as the center logo. Is this throwback week?
I believe that there are rumors right now that it might be. Originally, we thought that it was going to be the Bills game. So stay tuned for
Oh,
that, folks, because the New England Patriots are always interested in doing things. So that will be
okay.
one to watch very closely. But yeah, I'm gonna let the suspense build on that a little
Okay.
bit, because
Well,
the last time
if
the Patriots, the last time they rocked the red uniforms, they did pretty well against the Detroit Lions. So maybe the
yeah.
Patriots were in a rush to bring them back. Who knows?
Yeah, well, if it is red throwbacks and Pat Patriot and everything, it's Patriots by a million. Sorry, Colts, but that's a lot of juice right there.
Absolutely. And yeah, the Patriots definitely are loving their red threads. The last time these guys, hooked up on the field and did that, it was a lot of fun in Foxborough, and the fans absolutely
Hmm.
love that color combination. And even as a homer, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say that I haven't loved that uniform since I was a kid, but
Hmm.
I think even the most ardent Patriot hater has to admit it. That's a pretty good look. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see what
yeah.
happens. Naturally, I think the Colts have a classic great look. They always have. They always will. So we'll be looking and watching very closely for that as well. But folks, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to help make Locked On Patriots and Locked On Colts a daily part of your New England Patriots and Indianapolis Colts coverage, and also your first listens every day. And now that you've made us your first listen today, please make our second listen, or your second listen, Locked On Sports Today podcast, which has the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. They're available on the Odyssey app and YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, just like Locked On Patriots and Locked On Colts. On behalf of Jake Arthur, the host of Locked On Colts, I'm Mike Debate, host of Locked On Patriots. Stay safe, stay well, all. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy the game on Sunday.